Welcome to the podcast.
Hi guys, it's Aaron here from Little Canyon Collective. So the interview you're about to hear now was one that Anthony did with Jacqueline from Wirksworth Heritage. When we were planning the podcast, part of Anthony's condition is that he'll sometimes need to stop and just take a minute. And when it came to actually editing it together, I asked Anthony, look, do you want me to show you how to edit this out so it kind of flows smoothly? And he actually said no, he wants to keep it in. And I think that's a showcase of how much kind of Anthony wants to raise awareness of autism and particularly his own condition. You know, the fact that he's immensely he's got a fantastic understanding of being able to plan a podcast and an interview. And a lot of the times I imagine he's probably not had them sort of opportunities because of his autism. And I think he wants to be able to showcase that he can do that and he can do it with his autism and it's perfectly fine, you know. And I really admire Anthony for that. And if he's listening, well done, mate. You know, we're all really proud of you. So I hope you enjoy the interview with him and Jacqueline and stay tuned.
And now here's my interview with Jacqueline from Wirksworth Heritage.
This is Anthony. My name's Aaron.
Hi, guys.
Brilliant. So thanks ever so much for agreeing to chat to us. We've got some pre-prepared questions based around sort of the lockdown, because obviously it's sort of the main topic of conversation at the minute. But we wanted to try and focus on some more of the positives as well and how the community has supported each other as a whole. So Anthony's just lining up the questions ready on the screen. Do you want to ask the first one, mate?
What is your role in the community in Wirksworth?
I have two roles. I'm the chair of the trustees for Wirksworth Heritage Centre, but I'm also one of the core group members for the Wirksworth Community Response Group.
Wow.
Okay, brilliant. So in terms of in lockdown, Jacqueline, I imagine you've been very active in terms of support networks for everyone.
To a degree, not so much because I'm quite a new core member, but the work that they've been doing has been trying to sort out this time around with the WCRG. With the Heritage Centre, it's been more around looking after our volunteers who haven't been able to come in, keeping in touch with them and looking after our staff that were all on furlough.
Okay, brilliant. We're just going to stop for a minute, Jacqueline. Because of Anthony's condition, he has to stop every now and then and just take a minute.
No problem.
I'm ready.
Nice one, mate. So in terms of, you say you work with Heritage, is that your main role then? Is that your main sort of what you do?
Yes, it is. I'm chair of the trustees. I've just taken over from Sal, and so we have a museum, cafe, and shop for the community and for visitors to utilise.
So in terms of this second lockdown, I mean, we had an interview with someone this morning, and they did say that this second lockdown, everyone was a bit more prepared. But has it affected your profits and the stability of the Heritage at all?
It has, because obviously staff have been on furlough. We've not been able to open any part of the building. And the first lockdown, we didn't know how long it was going to be, so we furloughed all the staff apart from a couple. So our cafe team and our shop team were all furloughed. I think had we realised it was going to go on for quite so long, we may have opened up as a takeaway in the early days. Right. We didn't. So the second lockdown, we've done it slightly differently, and we opened up as a takeaway as well, so people could come round to the back of the building and use the cafe facilities.
Okay, brilliant. And has that helped stabilise sort of the business end of the Heritage?
Yeah, to a degree. I was coming back to the financial impact. So the financial impact has been quite significant because basically, apart from the second lockdown, there's the tiny support from the sales of that. So we're very fortunate in that we got the grant from the council, which comes. We managed to also get grants from our agency, which is National Heritage Lottery Fund, and from the community, the CRF as well, grants. So fortunately, we have been very, very, done very well in terms of grant support, and that's helping us now that we've opened with lesser turnover, because some of that money is supporting our overheads and our staffing. And the extra level of PPE and all the things that we have to put in place.
Okay, brilliant. That's really interesting.
What's your current situation? Are you working from home?
We literally were able to open up yesterday, so the shop has opened up again. But throughout the first lockdown and most of the second lockdown, yes, all our meetings were done by Zoom, and the members of staff that we did keep on board were able to either work from home or, because the building is so vast, have their entirely their own space to come in and work. The problem is we haven't had our volunteers doing their usual activities, which is a shame because they were working really hard in the background, sorting out the collection. They help in a cafe, they help on the front of house. So all the lovely volunteers that we usually have supporting us, they haven't been able to come in, which is a bit, upsetting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how do you how have yourself personally adapted to the whole sort of Microsoft Teams, Zoom conversations thing? Because I think there's positives and negatives to both sides of it, isn't there?
There are positives and negatives. I'm not too bad at IT, so I've mastered Zoom and Teams, and also we house partied with the family as well. So all that technology has been available, but it's not the same. Because we had to apply for all the grants. We had our trustee meetings meeting with our general manager, all via Zoom or Teams, and it's just not the same as sitting around the table together. You're having to take it in turns to speak, and you're not seeing people's facial expressions the same. So, and it's just so much harder to go through the meetings with the distance of a computer rather than being around a table.
Yeah, and I bet when sorry, go on.
Well, I think you also just focus on the business, and there's less of the socialising that you might have the coffee around afterwards, or so that bit's lost as well. And the bumping into each other when you're in the premises and you just have passing conversations, it all has to wait and be maintained for one point in the meeting.
Yeah, I can imagine, like you're saying with the volunteers, I think that kind of unity and that togetherness is kind of been lost a little bit because it's got a bit more simple and just target based.
Yeah, and we didn't have any need to have them even on the Zoom meetings or anything. So it was just sending emails and giving them updates, and so that's not the same as being in person either. It's much colder, isn't it? It's not the same as being face to face or having a chat with them as you pass them. Fortunately, you see them in the streets sometimes and could give them an update that way, but it's just difficult. It separates everybody, and I think if you're working on something, because we have marketing and events and all sorts of things, the little team getting together and having that creative spark and feeding off each other and coming up with ideas, that's lost when you're on a screen. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, I mean, so Anthony helped basically put them all these questions together, and I think this one was particularly it leads really on to what you're saying. I don't know if you want to ask a question for Anthony.
How's it affected you emotionally?
Emotionally, I think I've been okay because we have been busy applying for the grants and looking after the staff, and so my work has actually carried on just from home, and I'm very fortunate that my husband has also had to work from home, so I've had companies, but I know a lot of people. I've got some fellow trustees that live on their own, so it's slightly different, isn't it, when you're on your own and you haven't got people popping by and see people to talk to in the day. And I think in terms of emotionally from members of staff, they were off work for almost 6 months. So coming back in after the lockdown, very difficult for them because it's getting back into the swing of things. People's anxieties show when that, so it takes time for them to get back into work and settle in.
Anthony, how's it affected you emotionally being in the lockdown?
It's very real. I think very well. I haven't been able to see Suzanne. I haven't been able to go to Portland and stuff.
So do you want to explain to Jacqueline who Suzanne is for you?
This is my support worker.
Yes.
And Portland, do you want to explain what Portland is?
It's a college, a special college. I stay over there on Friday nights, but I haven't been able to do any of that because all schools are closed.
Yeah. So similar to what Jacqueline was saying, I think that we take it for granted, our routine, a little bit, don't we? Until it kind of just is all taken away.
Yeah. I think we all know people who have had those support networks, and that's what people have really missed. And it's just doing something normal, like just having a coffee and passing the time of day somewhere. You haven't been able to do that either. It's very, very difficult.
That's what a lot of what you do with Suzanne isn't it? Just
Yes,
spending time together. And
Yes, please.
yeah. So, do you want to ask about the community?
You're also involved in the community response team. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, I wasn't part of that for the first lockdown, but I did offer to volunteer, but we didn't get any responses that needed my support at that time, which is really good in a way, because you know that people have got networks and are being supported. But the second lockdown, I think people have been finding it a lot harder. I think because people are frightened of going on public transport, the request for transport has increased. So I've done a few requests before for people, which is, I'm glad to be able to help.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, and it's nice that people know that we're there and can offer that support. But I know in the first lockdown, a lot of volunteers did a lot of shopping and picking up prescriptions and things. So I know that the service is definitely needed, and that's why I wanted to volunteer and be part of it.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, in terms of Wirksworth as a whole, I mean, a lot of the people we've chatted to for the podcast, it does seem like there's a more of a community togetherness. I don't know if it's because we're out in Derbyshire, in the middle of Derbyshire, or there isn't that. It's there's more of a closeness, perhaps.
I think it Wirksworth is a little bit unique in that it's a really friendly town. It's a really eclectic town, and there is that care and support for others that people are willing to do. And we have a massive volunteer workforce in this town, and that's what helps, isn't it? And everybody cares and makes sure everybody's looked after. So I think that's really good. I think the WCRG are aspiring to have try and get a supporter on every street, because going forward I think we should maintain what's been built out of this. People got to know each other standing on the doorstep clapping for the NHS, didn't they? Whereas not being able to knew each other before that. So it does help. Some positives out of it.
What are your hopes for after Christmas in 2021?
Well, I'm hoping that the new vaccine is going to help people.
Whoa.
That's quite exciting news, and I appreciate that's not a simple task.
Yeah.
That they'll have, from the conditions of what they're having to store it in, and the fact that you need 2. And I've seen the rollout list of the priority. I'm on level 6 because of my age. It's interesting how the categories that they're going into do that. But really, I just hope that I don't think we'll ever return to normal, because I think there's been some things that have come out of lockdown for businesses that are helpful and better to their needs. Like, I don't expect my husband's going to go back out visiting customers as often as he did, because they've managed to do it without. But at the same time, the socialising, the events that we used to hold at the Heritage Centre, the community used to come in and use the resources there and meet friends and meet up with people. I think that's what I'm hoping to get back. I think people are lacking that social contact and just doing something normal. Appreciating it more as well, I think, coming out.
Did you have a question, Anthony?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? That's all right. I was going to ask Jacqueline. You mentioned your husband, and what's his role in the community then?
Well, we're both volunteers in 2 different areas. I'm volunteering at the Heritage Centre. He's a volunteer and director down at the railway.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Hello.
Yes. So he's part of the Ecclesbourne Valley Railway.
Okay, brilliant. We've walked past the railway, haven't we, Anthony? Anthony's actually designed a Christmas card this morning with utilising a bit of the railway, because obviously we're based at Newbridge Works.
Wow.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So Jacqueline's husband runs the railway behind us. Yeah. It's amazing. That's pretty much it, Jacqueline. Thanks ever so much for your time. Do you have any questions for us guys? Obviously we're newly set up and.
Yes, I appreciate that. I'm so interesting. Can I ask you what you're going to do with the blogs that you're doing with the people that you're speaking to? What's the aim of the blogs, and what are you going to do with them?
Well, Anthony, do you want to kind of summarise what we've done so far on?
Well, we've been making the podcast.
And what was one of the things that you spoke about?
Autism, my autism. Just be yourself.
Yeah. So it was really nice, Jacqueline. We had a wonderful moment, me and Anthony. So we're only on week 2 now, and Anthony wants to be a broadcaster. So we kind of put a support structure together around the podcasts. And there was this wonderful moment where we were project planning for it, and Anthony actually reached over. You don't mind me telling her, do you? Cool. So it was, he reached over and he wrote disability on my notepad, and then and one of the things that we want to try and explore is just raise awareness around Anthony's disability. And what's the message that you kind of
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. I think it's the key thing that Anthony wants to put across. Which I think is just awesome.
Think about this, but the Heritage Centre, it is to tell the story of Wirksworth and the history of the town and everything to do with it. And I think it would be a really nice thing to put in our archives and have for the future, should we need it. Tradition. And we are very, very wanting to be open to everybody, and we have done. We have disability awareness training with our staff. My nephew's autistic, and one of our trustees works in that arena, and she wants to make sure our museum's completely accessible for anybody with a disability. We are the only building other than the town hall that is totally accessible, because we've got a lift that comes up onto every floor. And one of the things, when we inherited the building from a lady in the town, we didn't know it was coming to us, and we moved from the silk mill down onto the high street. And one of the first things we said when we redid the building, it had to be accessible, and that was one of the key strengths. We've done dementia awareness training with our team, and we're looking at we've done some filming, so we're hoping to release that in the new year. And it's basically, we've done the tour of the town, the guided walk that we do. We've had it audio described for those who are hard of partially sighted, and we've also had it interpreted for those who are hard of hearing. So, it would be wonderful to have anything else that links and makes us more accessible and more, welcoming. If you've got any thoughts on that, Anthony, I'd love to hear from you. And if you wanted to have a go around the museum when it's open again, I'd be happy to take.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yay.
I like the idea. It's good that Jacqueline wants to put it in the archives.
Yay.
I think that'd be awesome. Just have our little stamp on Wirksworth.
Well,
it's a part of the town. It's part of its history, or it will be one day, won't it? So keep that in mind.
We get to be part of the history of Wirksworth now. So we've not done too bad. But no, that's brilliant, Jacqueline. We definitely, if there's any joint working you'd want to do as well, I think one of the things we're quite keen to do is to try and provide opportunities, because obviously, Anthony, where do you live? Kimberley, right. So what are the differences, would you say, between living in Kimberley and Wirksworth?
It's smaller.
And what's the things you like about Wirksworth from
it's different. It's bigger and more prettier. Yes.
See, I love that you've said that it's prettier. I think because obviously I bet not that Kimberley's not pretty,
but it would be better in summer, but we're in winter now.
Yeah, but it's beautiful in summer, isn't it, Jacqueline?
Yeah. Well, Nottingham. I know where Kimberley is, so yeah. Well, good luck with the project, Anthony.
Yeah, good luck. Yes. You too.
No, I appreciate it, Jacqueline. We'll get in touch and try and arrange a visit when everything's back open. And obviously, Anthony's trying to build his portfolio around sort of filmmaking and recording. And I think one of the things he's really skilled at, which I hope you won't mind me saying, is the overall project planning and understanding that more sort of sensitive side. Like with all these questions, he's come up with them himself, and I think they're quite, personal and have got more to them than you'd expect. Which I think showcases his skills. So yeah, we'll have a chat in the new year and see if we can link up.
Lovely.
Really appreciate the support and your time. It means a lot.
Well, thank you for asking me, and good luck.
Brilliant. Thank you. Lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.